Good morning and welcome to the Planning Hearing Officer's hearing for January 30th, 2019. My name is Laura Stotler and I'll be serving as today's Planning Hearing Officer. We have one case and the relevant exhibits are posted on the panel located directly behind me. The agenda, staff reports, and recommendation for today's case can be found on the city's website. A copy of the hearing procedures are available on the counter by the door and they're right next to the agendas, and you'll also find copies of the staff report there. Under the provisions of Title 30, Chapter 30.43 of the Glendale Municipal Code, a variance shall be granted if the four required findings are present. If the evidence presented in the application and at the hearing today meets the criteria, then the Planning Hearing Officer can either approve or impose conditions for approval on the case in question. If the findings of fact are not evident, then the request will be denied. Notification of this hearing was accomplished by use of public notices, which were mailed to property owners and occupants located within 500 feet of the subject property. A notice was physically posted on the site in question, and a notice was also placed in the local newspaper, and you can also find a notice posted on the city's website. Hearings will proceed as follows. I'll read a description of the requested entitlement. The case planner will make a brief overview of the case, give an analysis, and make a recommendation. The applicant or applicant's representative will then be asked to come forward, stating both name and address, and will be asked to present a case within a 15-minute time limit. Others in support of or in opposition to the application and any other interested parties will then be asked to come forward to speak, stating both name and address with a 3-minute time limit apiece. Lastly, the applicant will be given the opportunity to make closing comments or rebuttal, if desired, in response to any testimony given by the preceding speakers, and the applicant rebuttal will have a 5-minute time limit. The hearing will be closed and the case taken under submission. After the hearing, a decision will be prepared in writing and will be in the form of a letter sent to the applicant and to all persons who've responded to the public notice, who have either by speaking today at the hearing or by submitting a written response, provided a name and address has been provided. The date of the decision will be the date appearing on the letter. However, if a decision is made at this hearing, the decision will be today's date, and a 15-day appeal period, and those will be calendar days, would start today. Under the provision of Title 30, Chapter 30.62 of the Glendale Municipal Code, the decisions of the Planning Hearing Officer may be appealed to the Planning Hearing or the Planning Commission within 15 days of the date of the decision. Anyone wishing to appeal may obtain forms and brochures on the procedures from the Permit Services Center located in room 101 of this building. So if you wish to speak, please write your name and address on one of the speaker's forms. These are the green forms that are located by the door. And you can provide those to Brad Collin. I would also like to inform everyone that the official proceedings of this hearing are being recorded as part of the public record. So for the first case, we have variance case PVAR 1A24548, located at 850 East Glen Oaks Boulevard. And I would now ask for the case planner to provide an overview presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Stotler.
Thanks.
As mentioned, we have a proposed variance located 850 East Glen Oaks Boulevard, variance case number PVAR 1824584. The subject property is located in R1, low density residential zone, floor area district 1. The subject site is a 7,240 square foot rectangular lot with a 1,126 square foot, 1-story, 3-bedroom, single-family residence. The lot has frontage on East Glen Oaks Boulevard and is fairly flat. House was built in 1947 with the current driveway width. The applicant is currently under construction with the additions to the front and the rear, and a portion of which is adjacent to the subject driveway. This also includes 220 square feet of living area that was started without permits and is being legalized as part of the building permit. The applicant is requesting approval of a variance to allow the existing non-conforming driveway width of 7 feet 5 inches to remain for both the existing house and for the new additions. The zoning code provides that a minimum driveway width of 9 feet provided when there is a detached garage located at the rear of the lot, provided there is access to the rear of the house without taking access or walking down the driveway. However, per the zoning code, chapter 30.32.130C, A minimum driveway width of 8 feet is also allowable. Staff believes that due to the existing width of the driveway, a survey would have been proper tool to verify the actual driveway width prior to submitting the plans for plan check. If this had been the case, it would have been realized that the driveway was less than 8 feet wide, which was what was shown on the approved plans. The project could have been modified and plans corrected to reflect the correct width. There are 4 findings per Chapter 30.43.030 of the Glendale Municipal Code that are required to be made, and all 4 of them are required in order for a variance to be considered. The first one is a strict application of the provisions of any such ordinance would result in practical difficulties or unnecessary hardship inconsistent with the general purposes and intent of the ordinance. Second, that there are exceptional circumstances or conditions applicable to the property involved or to the intended zone or development of the property that do not generally apply to other property in the same zone or neighborhood. Third, that the granting of the variance will not be materially detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to the property or improvements in such zone or neighborhood in which the property is located. And finally, the fourth, the granting of the variance will not be contrary to the objectives of the ordinance. Staff believes that all 4 findings cannot be made in a positive way for the requested standards variance. The strict application of the zoning ordinance in this circumstance would not result in practical difficulties and unnecessary hardship inconsistent with the general purposes and intent of the ordinance. As previously mentioned, had the applicant prepared a survey prior to submitting the project for Building Safety's plan check review, the actual driveway width would have been revealed and the project could have been designed differently, since a survey was not done until the project was well into construction, as self-imposed hardship was created. As mentioned, staff believes that the proposed project does not meet all 4 of the required findings for the standards variance and therefore recommends denial of the requested variance application. The applicant and architect are in the audience, and I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. I would like to call forward the only speaker we have, the applicant, Shulgi Yepremian from Yepremian Consulting.
Good morning, Ms. Stotler, Mr. Collins, and audience. I'm Shoik Yepremian Consulting, Inc. You have my address and phone number in the file. I'm here representing the property owner, Mr. Hamlet Stepanian, who's also present here for this case. The project architect, Narek Khodadadi, is also present in case you have any particular questions for him. Brett went over the details of the case, but I would like to do it again. The original house was built in 1947 as a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, 1,126 square foot single-family house with a detached garage in the back of the property. The lot is 7,240 square feet with a lot width of 47.16 feet, which is normally less than the 50-foot lot width. A 90-foot wide vertigo wash is located directly behind the property, and a 10-foot access is located to the west of the property. The property owner, as Brad mentioned, proposed to remodel the house back in 2017 by adding 271 square feet of new square footage and also legalizing 220 square feet of existing floor area. The existing driveway width remains at 7 feet 5 inches, which is a legal non-conforming condition. Basically, the entire east side wall for the original house, roughly 25 feet if we measure, always existed. We have presented our findings, submitted sufficient evidence to support this variance approval, and if I may, I can go over the written findings. Number 1, the strict application of the provisions of the ordinance would result in practical difficulties or unnecessary hardship inconsistent with the general purposes and intent of the ordinance. As I had mentioned, the house was built in 1947, 1,126 square feet. Garage is located in the back of the property. The property owner remodeled the house by adding 271 square feet and legalizing approximately 220 square feet. The existing driveway width at 7 feet 5 inches is a legal nonconforming condition and remained unchanged as a result of the remodel. To remove the entire house or a portion of the house to provide an 8-foot driveway for a single-family house addition would create an unnecessary hardship inconsistent with the general purposes and intent of the ordinance. We have also submitted photographs to show the existing house and driveway location prior to the remodel. Number 2, there are exceptional circumstances or conditions applicable to the property involved or to the intended use or development of the property that do not apply generally to other property in the same zone or neighborhood. As I have mentioned, the lot width for this particular property is 47.16 feet, which limits a reasonable or any reasonable alteration addition or to widen the driveway width in order to comply with the zoning code. That meant removing existing house. The 90-foot vertigo wash is located directly behind the property, and a 10-foot vertigo wash access is also located to the west of the property, which also limits any reasonable development on this property. So therefore, any reasonable square footage addition to the house is limited by the lot size, lot frontage, wash access location, and existing house and driveway location. Number 3, the granting of the variance will not be materially detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to the property or improvements in such zone or neighborhood in which the property is located. The surrounding neighborhood's interior setback characteristics are similar to the premises in question, and there already exist single-family residences with varied interior setback, including houses with narrow driveways. We have submitted a map showing some of the properties in the neighborhood, that you should have that in the file, and photographs attached, which showed very similar conditions within the neighborhood. The 7 feet 5 inch non-conforming driveway existed for 71 years without creating any detriment to the property or neighborhood. The proposed corner additions on the east side of the house continued the existing house building line and did not reduce the driveway setback any further than 7 feet 5 inches. The proposed project did not alter the existing on-site conditions. Furthermore, the property owner is willing to remove the existing fence located to the east of the driveway to allow the cars to be parked on the driveway more easily. The driveway length to the detached garage is approximately 85 feet. And therefore allows cars to be parked on the driveway without impacting any on-street parking. Also, the property provides the 25-foot turnaround radius for the detached garage as required by the current code. Therefore, the proposed additions to the house did not affect the existing driveway width and could be used in the same manner as used for 71 years. And finally, number 4, the granting of the variance would not be contrary to the objectives of the ordinance. The proposed house was renovated with proper approvals and permits, which resulted in an updated and improved residence with proper landscaping and a design compatible with the existing houses in the neighborhood. The intent of the code is to promote high standards with high quality development, which the project achieved. Furthermore, the code provides an administrative exception, AE, process for such conditions under Section 30.44.020J, which reads non-conforming driveways less than 8 feet in width on properties with an existing single-family residential use, where in addition to the building or expanded or new garage is proposed, may maintain a width less than 8 feet. As long as the nonconformity regarding driveway width is not increased and the driveway can reasonably provide access to the garage to the satisfaction of the Director of Community Development. The project should have been reviewed under an administrative exception as indicated in Section 30.44.020J rather than a variance. The AE process provides a much simplified process for minor deviations from the code, in this case 7 inches. In conclusion, we do not agree with staff's recommendation. Staff also in their report indicated that the current driveway condition existed when the house was built in 1947. I do think that an AE review was the proper application review rather than a variance application. The zoning code is very clear regarding the AE process where non-conforming driveways are maintained at less than 8 feet where additions to buildings are proposed. As of this hearing, there were no comments from other departments or from anyone from the neighborhood. We have also, for the record, submitted signatures collected by the property owner, and you have that as well in the file. If you don't, I do have a copy. The project is exempt under SIGWA for minor additions. We do believe that draft report and Mr. Collins' recommendation is unjustly and unfairly penalizes the property owner, or this case, for having a driveway width that is 7 inches short or 7 feet 5 inches wide as an existing non-conforming condition. We respectfully ask that you approve this minor variance application. And if you have any questions of me or the project architect or the owner, we're here to answer any questions.
Well, I do have a question, please stay here, for Brad. So when we have a request and they're adding, and they have a smaller than or narrower than usual driveway, and they're asking to add floor area, my understanding is when you're doing the addition, you still have to comply with the current setback. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So just to clarify what you're saying, you have a smaller than average driveway right now that's pre-existing. Now you're asking to add floor area. Are you asking to add floor area with the 9-foot setback, or are you going to keep in line with the addition, the current building at basically a reduced setback?
It's keeping in line with the existing building line. However, the AE process, which is very clear that if it's less than 8 feet, the AE process would have been the appropriate review.
Okay, but what I'm hearing is that the setback that you're requesting, though, is not the 8 foot, it's
Right.
smaller than
7
8 feet.
Existing, yeah. It's an
Okay, so
existing
that's why we
condition.
haven't,
Yeah.
so which
it's an
is why
existing-
we're asking, which is why we're here for a variance.
Yeah,
I'm just
right,
clarifying
right.
for the public and making sure I
Okay.
have the facts right. Okay,
Sure.
all right. Yeah, I understand that. And just another question, why were the plans drawn with an 8-foot setback, with an addition with an 8-foot setback when it's reduced? And why was it shown with an 8-foot driveway when we actually only have a 7?
The
5 inch.
project architect may be able to answer that because
Okay.
he started the process before I was involved, so he can answer any questions about the drawings and why they were done a certain way.
Okay, but and the other, I guess I do have another question too. If they're willing to remove the fence, though, that still doesn't give you additional room on the driveway.
No, it just provides more comfortable area.
Okay,
I mean, that's
drive-
on his property, and even though he has 85 feet, there's sufficient room to park his cars, but it may provide more available space on the sides.
okay. I guess I do have one other question is, do you have any photos showing cars back there that actually can use the garage with a narrow, do you have any photos that showing that they actually do use the garage, or? Because if we're supposed to, that's the whole goal, is to have access. So I just don't see any evidence that the driveway is usable here. I understand the existing setback and everything else. The ultimate goal
According
is
to
to
the
make sure.
project architect, he had submitted those plans, but I do have some other neighborhood conditions with similar driveway distances
Okay.
or widths.
Okay. I'll accept those if you, I do
you
have, I believe I have a copy of that.
You should have this in the file with specific
I know I have the
property addresses.
I have the petition. I know that's in here. Yeah, I do
Let me
have a
see, I
list of,
see.
I do have a list of addresses. That's,
This is one photograph. It shows, this is the property.
oh yeah, that's up here. Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
but this is after construction, I believe,
Okay,
after the fences were removed.
all right. Let me s-
Ms. Stella,
Yes.
the architect will also email some photos showing vehicles
Okay,
in the driveway, which we do not have on currently on file.
all right.
This is a good
Thanks.
example of when we did the neighborhood. We do not have that. This shows,
What it was before, okay.
it shows the property with the neighbor's driveway and how they're able to park.
Got it, thanks.
All right. Okay. Can I keep this to make a
Yes, you
copy?
can.
Okay. Right, that's it for my questions. I don't have any more questions. Is there anybody else who would like to speak? I see other people in the audience, but I'm not hearing any, not seeing anybody. No? If you'd like to make any closing remarks.
Curiosity.
Okay, would you like to make any additional closing remarks? No? All right. With that, I am going to take this matter under submission. And, oh, wait, okay. You're welcome to come forward.
Okay.
Just please state your name and address, and then I'm going to ask you to please fill out one of these
I will
cards
do that and
afterwards.
give it to
Okay.
Nari Kodadati. I'm the project designer, 213 North Orange Street, Unit E, Glendale, California, 91203.
Okay.
The plans were submitted showing 8-foot clear driveway. It was never surveyed. And then plans were shown as well as being aligned with the existing house at 8 feet. So it was never at 9 feet. And they were approved at being at 8 feet. So that's why construction, proceed, and there were inspections all the way to where it's at now.
Okay.
So, like I said, they were never at. I never got a correction for the addition part of the plans being at 9 feet, which I think what the code states.
Okay.
So that's all I had to say.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Seeing nobody else willing to, is there anybody else who would like to speak? No? Nobody else? All right. With that, we've heard from the applicant, we've heard from interesting party, and so I am going to take this matter under submission, and I am now closing the hearing on this item. And with that, we have no further items on the agenda. Therefore, I'm now closing the public hearing, case under submission, and there are no further items. The meeting is now adjourned. Thank you for coming.